In this video, I would like to continue with a few short coding examples. And first practical example is detecting which string is shorter and which string is longer. Since our challenge is to compare two strings entered by the user, it can be wise to organize our comparison process in such way so that we can scan the longest string for possible matches in a shorter string. Okay, so that's just a background idea about this. But first, we need to be able to detect which of the strings is longer and which is shorter. So let's try something like this. I have this empty file here that I prepared that we can try our example with these two strings. All right, so assume that we have a couple of strings in our program, and of course the user will be entering this on the keyboard. And again, I'm just reusing the strings that we've tried in our demo program. Okay, so then if we have two strings like this, you already know that we can compare the length of these strings. So I can add like an if statement here and say, what is the length of this string and what is the length of another? And if they just essentially do not agree with each other with their names, if we need to essentially according to the names, short and long, if they don't agree with their names, we need to be able to swap these two strings. Okay, so just basically this is the comment that goes here: swap two strings according to variable names and the corresponding string length. Okay, so this is what we're going to do, and it takes a few steps so we can use this logic here that we can create a temporary string and preserve one of the strings. Let's say it's a short string, that doesn't matter which one, but we preserve it here. So then once we have preserved the content of one of the strings entered by the user, then we can just essentially say, okay, we decided this string is a shorter string, so the long string is wrong named, and then the string that was preserved basically goes into the long string. Of course, there is no way to swap in one statement, two strings just using the assignment operator, unless you're using some kind of member function or library function that already does swap the strings. But this is a possibility to do it like this with the temporary string. So at this stage, the two strings are swapped, and we can basically print what the length are and what the content of them is. So look that I intentionally, you can even see it in my code, that this string is longer because it has more characters in it, but this was the intention to demonstrate that we actually went through this logic to do the swap, so we can print. And I like to add the input at the end, which basically pauses the program before it exits, because I can just simply double click, since Python is integrated with this Windows Explorer environment. I can just double click and execute the program, but if it doesn't have this pause at the end, it'll just close the window instantly. So this way I can double click and see what's going on. So here, let's just typically there's a way to stop running program. Just basically just press Control C. Control C is like a interrupt signal that is intercepted first by the operating system, and then the operating system notifies Python that there was this thing that the user did on the keyboard. It was Control C means interrupt the program, and Python detects there was a keyboard interrupt, and in command window environment it just stops. Okay, so we have this, and so this is my demo program that I'd like to show it to you how it works. So it's just very simple. I mean, again, I don't need the long path in my command window. I can just I basically just shorten it like this, I suppose, right? So just use the name of the program, hit enter, and oh, it doesn't print anything because I did not save my code. So one more time. Okay, so the short string is 24 characters long, and it's let's all play, and then long is 42 characters long is our second string. Press any key to exit program. Okay, so so this is what I wanted to demonstrate. And the second demonstration here, what we can do is we can also modify this code, as I promised in our earlier videos in the series, that we can ask, first of all, we could ask the user to enter two strings as opposed to just being them hard coded as we did in this first test, but also perhaps in this case, we could reorganize it to run as an endless loop. Okay, so we can do that. Well, first we can just, we can simply comment out this top portion because we're no longer going to use hard-coded strings. And the endless loop in Python perhaps looks like this. Right, so true is a keyword, and we can use it as a condition for a while loop, which runs forever. Okay, again, the block of code that belongs to the loop is simply in Python indicated by indentation, right? So we use indentation, the space indentation, to say, okay, this is consistent indentation, just like we do it here with the if statement, we do it here with the while loop. So if I decided that this would be the block of code that should belong to this while loop, I just have to insert a certain amount, consistent amount of spaces, and it should be fine. And then, of course, we can use again, reuse these names, and at the top of the loop, we just can prompt the user, okay, and give us the first string and give us the second string, and we can use it like this. So let's save it. I hope my syntax is okay. I am clearing this screen, CLS in command window, and we'll just rerun this program. And now it says, okay, enter your first string, and this would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 999, something like that, right? The second string is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and so that just prints how many of these strings we have, and I mean how many characters we have in these strings. But if I swap the inputs, again, it should, whatever is my keyboard buffer, right? So it always detects which string is shorter, and it's a shorter string, and this is a longer string, which is 13 characters long in this case, and that's what we enter here. Okay, so this is an example of this endless loop that we talked earlier, and again, it's just the little demo program that just keeps running. We can try different inputs. We can test the logic of our program, see if everything is okay. Yeah, and again, typically in command window, unless you want to close it, right, you can just press Control-C, and it just instantly interrupts the program on the line, which was currently, active in our program. Okay, so let's clear this screen, and this is our demo for this. Most important part of it is obviously the swapping the strings to guarantee that one is shorter and another one is longer, which we will need in our future prototype building.